All right, guys, before we get started on making your pulleys and or your gears, whichever you choose to do, we need to know what the distances options are between this shaft and this shaft because we can move the motor up or down a little bit. So we do have some adjustment, but we need to make sure that things fit and at the same time that we are reducing the speed of the motor by between 2 to 2.5 times slower. So we need some measurements. You're going to need to either write this down or record it somewhere because you'll need these later. So I've made a sketch. We're going to need some numbers here, and I've already got these points constrained and offset by the amount of the thickness of the back plus halfway across the motor to where the shaft of the motor is. So that's what this represents. So we're going to get a couple of lengths here and we need to write this down. First is the minimum length. So when I click on that minimum length is 2.64. So we're dealing with diameters. We need twice that distance. We need to know what that is so we can deal with the diameters of our pulleys or gears. So here is that distance. Please record that somewhere. Now we need to know what the other distance is of this line. Twice that distance is this. We need to write that down, and that's our maximum. All right, so now that we have those two numbers, we can go back and start working on our gears or our pulleys. Now we're ready to go ahead and make our gears. So start a new part studio, please, and please call that new part studio by renaming it and call it gears. And we're going to go ahead and hit P to turn the planes off. Now we do have a custom feature called spur gear that you should have. If you don't have it, you'll need to talk to me about how to get it. So we're going to click on spur gear and that creates a gear for us, which is pretty cool. And gears have a lot of different parameters. There's only three things, though, that you need to worry about. We're going to keep the depth at 0.2. We're going to keep all this stuff. You need to know the number of teeth, the module, and the pitch circle diameter. The pitch circle diameter is really important because that is what is showing us the true diameter of the circles, because the outside diameter of the teeth isn't where they actually mesh together. We're going to make some adjustments to this. So first of all, let's set our module at 0.15. I have found that that works really well. When I enter that, it gets a big gear, but we're going to reduce the number of teeth down and let's start with 12. Now we may need to come back and adjust this. And that gives us a pitch circle diameter for this small gear of 0.18. Let's go ahead and finish this gear that's got these parameters. You might want to, we're going to go ahead and start a new one in the same place. We're going to start a new spur gear. Notice it'll show up in the middle of this one. We're going to set the module to the same. Here's what you have to do. You have to make sure that 4 things are true when you design this second gear. And I'm not going to do it for you. You are going to do this. So first of all, the large gear needs to be 2 to 2.5 times larger than the small one, or have 2 to 2.5 times more teeth, if you want to look at it that way. They both need to have the same module. I would keep it at 0.15. Probably most critical is that the pitch circle diameter of the first one and the pitch circle diameter of the second one have to add up to a number that is within that maximum to minimum range that we calculated earlier. Otherwise, you have 2 gears that are too big or too small that won't mesh with each other. Finally, it is important that the large gear's circle diameter can't be bigger than 4 inches because our box is only 4 inches. So if you make it bigger than that, it's going to be hitting the ground and it's not going to work out. So you might have to readjust things on both gears in order to get those things to be true. So your job is to make that second gear match. You may have to go back to fix the first gear and adjust it a little bit, but you're going to work at it until you have those things true. I'm going to pause the video here. And you're going to do that, and I'm going to show you how to deal with making holes and such. All right, now that you have your two gears, I'm going to show you how to deal with those. We're going to transform and move one of these out of the way a little bit. By the way, I have made mine purposely so that they won't work. So yours will hopefully look a little different than mine. All right, I'm going to grab the second spur gear and transform it. We're going to translate by XYZ and just grab it and move it out of the way a little bit. Get it somewhat close, but not quite touching. I don't need the gear teeth to match. Now, for whatever reason, it leaves the sketch behind, so we can kind of come back and turn off the sketches that were used to make those. We're looking good, and we're ready to go ahead and put the holes in them, as long as you're confident that they're going to work. So to do that, first of all, we're going to sketch onto the small gear, and the origin point is already there on the small gear. So we're going to create a center point rectangle on the origin point, and that thing needs to be 0.24 by 0.24. And it should have turned black since we set it up with the origin. And on this one, we're going to bring in that star-shaped sketch. So find somewhere in your project is a hole for 5/16 shaft. We're going to go to that guy and open up the sketch, drag a box around everything and copy that. And now we're going to go back to our gears, and I'm going to now paste that guy in there. Now, if you remember how we did this before, it's a little tricky. We have to take that circle and move it up so it kind of snaps into the center point of that. And then we're going to use this square to move this, and I hope a circle shows up. There it is. That little square showed up. That should be the middle. Okay, and once we've got it into the middle, check, and we are looking good. It is really important that we get that in the middle. If it's not, your gear's going to be wobbly. Now we're going to go ahead and extrude both of those shapes. Okay, we're going to remove. Please choose through all. Looking good. Why did that not work? Let's try that again. Oh, merged with all is, I think, what we needed to choose. There we go. Now we are ready to go, except before we set this up for laser cutting, you are going to prove that these actually fit on the box. Go back to an assembly where you have your motor all set up, and we're going to insert in those parts. And we're going to put this one onto the shaft. I think that when we use a fast mate, if we hover kind of over, notice that it'll show the very middle of that thing. If you hover around to the right spot, it's a little tricky, but kind of hover until you see it snap right to the middle. We're going to click that, and then we're going to come over to this circle, click that. We might have to flip it. All right, we're looking good. And now we're going to do the larger one onto the other shaft. So we're going to go again, hover, hover, hover until we get the right thing. Then we're going to go onto this circle, and we're going to use our offset to move around the Z-axis until it's basically lined up. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but it should be close. Just get it to where it's close, and then, oh no, mine don't fit right. And if yours don't fit right, you have to make sure that they do. So you might have to go back and make some adjustments and figure that out. I'm going to have to go figure out why mine aren't working right and make some adjustments. I really did that on purpose, but you might have to do that too. All right, so I made some adjustments to both gears. And remember, you can also go back to your motor fastened that we made earlier, and we can adjust the placement of the motor along the y-axis. And as long as you're showing that those teeth are going to interlock like that and work, then I'm happy, and we're ready to laser cut these things once we've proven that these will actually work. So we're going to go back to our gears. Notice that I'm going to have to adjust my transform again. And when I transformed, it sort of jacked up that sketch for that star shape. So I'm going to have to reapply that. Now we're looking good. Please get these things close together if you can, because when we go to cut these on the laser, I want to get rid of as little material as possible. So another thing we need to do is I'm going to be cutting a lot of these out and they look very similar. So we're going to make sure that we know whose is whose. So here's how to do that. We're going to go ahead and sketch on one of these surfaces and we're going to put in a text box. Make it about as big as what you're seeing me do right here. And you're going to put your initials in there. Do make sure it's in stencil, the Alerta stencil one, because otherwise it's going to accidentally make other parts and we don't want to make other parts. Let's copy sketch entities and we're going to paste, put it on both of them. Okay. And then we are going to extrude both of those through all. Cool. Uh-oh, why didn't my extrude work? Oh, I bet I didn't hit my merge scope with all. Yep, that was it. So we've got our gears. We're ready now. We proved that they work and we are ready to go ahead and laser cut. So let's go ahead and go to the plus and go to your applications, go to Kirimoto. You may already have something in there. Like I did a thing with pulleys also. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those objects that are already there and start fresh. Okay. Notice that you can do either parts or we can do part studios. So we're going to do part studios. You're going to go find your gears, put those on in there. It says, do you want to group two parts? We're going to say, okay. Oh, whoops. Now that puts it on the front plane. So we're going to go ahead and flip these so that they are sitting flat. I believe Control A will select both of them, and we're going to go 0 on the X and 0 on the Z, but we're going to go 90 on. I realized what I'm doing. If I hit the rotate, you do have to hit one of these little buttons and then it'll rotate. So it's not Y, it's X. So I'm going to go 0 on the Y, it's X. Let's see if I can go 90 and go that way. Oops, that's not the way I wanted to. I wanted to go that way. There we go. So once you see them flat like that, we're good to go. Now, please make sure that your kerf is set to 0.005 up here. Slice, preview. If you hit preview and it moves them from where they were, don't worry about it. I don't know why it does that, but it does. So we're going to go file, or we're going to go to this export. Remember, please name it as class period dot last name dot first initial. Download as an SVG. Then you're going to put it in that file that or the folder where I can cut them out, and hopefully it will work out for you and you'll get a motorized Automata soon. And we'll see you when that happens.